ever try to take a thermometer to a candle flame?
Yeah, doesn't quite work, does it?
Right.
Measuring temperature in a constantly changing environment like a flame, it's surprisingly tricky.
Yeah.
But what if we could use lasers to take those temperature readings thousands of times per second in real time?
That's exactly what researchers have achieved.
Wow.
And this deep dive, we're going to dive into how they did it.
Okay.
And it could have a major impact on fields far beyond just measuring flames.
Okay, color me intrigued. So how do you even begin to measure something as fleeting as the temperature inside a dancing flame?
So they use a technique, a clever technique,
Okay.
where they shine two specific colors of laser light,
Okay.
one after the other, onto indium atoms within the flame.
Hold on, indium atoms, where are they getting those from?
They add a tiny bit of indium salt to the flame.
Okay.
Think of it like adding a sprinkle of seasoning.
Okay.
These indium atoms are key because they act like a special kind of paint,
Okay.
absorbing the laser light
Yeah.
and glowing a different color in response.
Yeah.
The brightness of this glow directly tells us the flame's temperature.
Wait, so you're telling me they're using light to make the flame itself reveal its temperature? That's wild. But why two different colored lasers? One wasn't enough.
Using two lasers, each tuned to a slightly different color, it lets them make incredibly precise measurements.
Okay.
It's like comparing two very similar shades of red. The subtle differences tell you a lot.
Right.
By analyzing how the indium atoms react to each laser, researchers can pinpoint the flame's temperature with incredible accuracy.
Okay, this is already blowing my mind, but I have to
Yeah.
ask, isn't using lasers for something like this, well, expensive?
It certainly used to be.
Yeah.
But this research is so exciting because they managed to achieve these amazing results using readily available, relatively cheap blue diode lasers.
Okay.
You know, the kind found in Blu-ray players.
Wait, seriously, they're measuring the temperature of a flame thousands of degrees hot using the same type of laser that's in my living room. That's incredible.
It's a game changer in terms of accessibility. This technology is no longer confined to expensive labs.
Right.
And they even found a way to lock the laser's wavelength to an indium lamp, ensuring accuracy without complex calibration.
So it's like having a self-tuning laser that guarantees precise measurements every time. That's brilliant. But walk me through the actual experiment. What did this setup look like?
They had a methane and air flame,
Yeah.
your standard Bunsen burner setup from chemistry class.
Right.
They added that touch of indium salt to the flame,
Okay.
and then aimed two of these diode lasers at it.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Two lasers pointed at a flame sprinkled with indium atoms. What happens next? Okay, so we've got our lasers, our flame, and our special seasoning.
Right.
What do they actually do with all of this?
Yeah.
How do you go from lasers and flames to actual temperature readings?
They used a clever setup to rapidly switch between those two laser beams thousands of times per second.
Wow.
Imagine a tiny high-speed fan blocking and unblocking each laser beam in turn. They then carefully measured the light emitted by the indium atoms after they were hit by each laser pulse.
Okay.
By analyzing the differences in those emissions, they could calculate the flame's temperature at that precise moment.
So they're essentially taking thousands of snapshots of the flame's temperature every second. That's mind-blowing. But here's where I'm curious. Wouldn't more measurements mean more chances for errors to creep in?
That's a great question. And you might think so, but they actually found the opposite to be true. Their super-fast measurements were actually more accurate
Interesting.
than traditional, slower methods, especially in the most chaotic part of the flame.
Hold on. More measurements equal more accuracy. How does that even make sense?
It all comes down to those indium atoms.
Okay.
See, their concentration in the flame isn't perfectly uniform.
Yeah.
It fluctuates a bit, like how heat swirls around in a pan of boiling water.
So the seasoning isn't perfectly evenly distributed.
Right.
I can see where that might throw things off.
Exactly. Imagine trying to measure the average height of people at a concert,
Okay.
but you only measure one person every few minutes.
Right.
Your results would be all over the place, depending on whether a tall person or a short person happened to walk by when you took your measurement.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I can see how taking measurements super fast would give you a much more accurate overall picture of the average height, even with those individual fluctuations.
That's exactly what's happening here.
Wow.
By taking thousands of temperature readings per second, they're getting a much more accurate average temperature, even with that fluctuating concentration of indium atoms.
Okay.
It's like taking a rapid-fire series of snapshots at that concert. You capture a much more representative sample of the crowd's heights.
This is already some seriously impressive science, But I heard they didn't stop there. They decided to crank things up a notch, right?
Indeed, they did.
Okay.
They wanted to see if this technique could handle a truly dynamic environment.
Uh-huh.
So they created what's called an acoustically perturbed flame.
Okay. Acoustically perturbed?
That sounds intense. Are we talking about blasting the flame with heavy metal music or something?
Not quite, though that's an idea for another experiment.
Right.
Essentially, they used precisely timed sound waves to make the flame pulsate rapidly,
Okay.
like a beating heart.
Wow.
They were creating controlled chaos.
So instead of a nice steady flame, they had one that was constantly changing shape and temperature at a rapid pace. Talk about a challenge.
Exactly. This was the ultimate test for their high-speed measurement system.
Right.
And the results. They were able to track those rapid temperature changes within the pulsing flame with incredible precision.
Wow.
We're talking about a precision of 1.5% at a scorching 2,000 Kelvin.
Wow, 2,000 Kelvin, that's incredibly hot. But just to put that precision into perspective for me, what does that translate to in, say, everyday terms?
Imagine trying to measure the temperature of a furnace.
Okay.
That's almost 3,200 degrees Fahrenheit.
While it's being blasted with sound waves.
Yeah.
And still being able to pinpoint the temperature within a single degree.
Wow.
That's the level of accuracy they achieved.
That's some seriously impressive precision.
Yeah.
Especially in such a crazy environment.
It's something.
I'm starting to see why this research is such a big deal.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out a bit.
Okay.
Beyond just measuring flames with incredible accuracy, why does all of this really matter?
Right.
What are the bigger implications here?
Well, for starters, understanding how temperature behaves in a flame is crucial for understanding, how things burn.
Okay.
Something called combustion dynamics.
Okay, so combustion dynamics. For those of us who haven't taken a chemistry class in a while, remind us why that's important.
Sure.
What kind of real-world impact does understanding combustion have?
Combustion is at the heart of so many things.
Right.
Think about internal combustion engines in cars, airplanes, power plants that generate electricity, even the simple act of lighting a gas stove. Being able to precisely measure and analyze these rapid temperature fluctuations could lead to dramatically more efficient engines.
So we're talking about everything from cars that get better gas mileage to airplanes that can travel farther on less fuel?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it goes beyond just efficiency.
Okay.
Imagine engines that burn cleaner, producing fewer harmful emissions.
Right.
This technology could be a key step towards a greener future, something I know you're passionate about.
100%. Reducing our impact on the environment is more important than ever.
Yeah.
But if I'm remembering correctly, this technology isn't just limited to flames, is it?
You got it.
Didn't you say earlier that it has implications for other fields as well?
You've got a great memory.
Okay.
What's really remarkable is that this technique, initially used to study something as seemingly simple as a candle flame, could unlock mysteries in fields as diverse as aerospace engineering, chemical production, and even biology.
Okay, now that's what I call a scientific plot twist. I'm dying to hear more about these other applications.
Right.
Give me the good stuff.
Imagine being able to monitor the temperature inside a jet engine in real time during a flight.
Okay.
We're talking about extreme temperatures and pressures.
Right.
With this level of precision, you could detect tiny variations that might signal a problem before it even becomes an issue.
So it's like having a super high-tech early warning system that helps prevent engine failure.
Exactly.
That's huge. What about those chemical reactions you mentioned? What's happening there?
In many industrial processes, chemical reactions happen in milliseconds.
Right.
This technology could give us an unprecedented look at those split-second reactions, allowing for more precise control and potentially leading to the discovery of entirely new materials.
This is incredible. It's amazing to think that something that started with measuring the temperature of a flame could revolutionize so many different fields.
It's pretty remarkable.
But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's bring it back to our listener. So for someone who's hearing all of this for the first time, what's the key takeaway here?
Yeah.
What do you want them to remember?
If you're involved in any field where understanding dynamic processes is key, especially those involving rapid temperature changes, this research should be on your radar.
Okay.
It has the potential to fundamentally change how we approach measurement and analysis in those areas.
It's like suddenly having access to a level of detail and clarity that was previously hidden?
Yeah,
This research is opening doors that we didn't even know existed before.
that's a great way to put it.
Wow.
And just like any major scientific breakthrough, it's not just about finding answers, it's also about uncovering new questions we didn't even know to ask.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our final thought for our listener.
Okay.
What other dynamic processes, perhaps in your own field of interest, could benefit from this kind of high-speed, precise temperature measurement? Could this technology be adapted for even more extreme environments, like the depths of the ocean or the vacuum of space? The possibilities are really endless.
Yeah, keep those questions in mind as you explore this fascinating area of science.
Right.
Who knows, you might just stumble upon the next big breakthrough.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of lasers, flames, and the incredible quest for precise temperature measurement. Until next time, keep those minds curious.